Hi guys, welcome back. Welcome back to our 5 steps to get a professional job in Ireland for and not only the Latin American professionals. Today we're going to be talking about building your presence. I am your host. My name is Nzaki Packer McKevitt, but everybody calls me CK. The easiest way to remember this is think of Calvin Klein, same style, just not as expensive just yet. Because we're building that brand, right? That's what it's all about. I work currently as a career coach in Dublin Business School. However, I do have my finger in a lot of pie. So I do podcasting, I do emceeing, as well as hosting various events. And I'm going to be joined today by none other than Kristof himself. Hey, Chris.
Hi, fantastic introduction to the subject. I have to say that if we talk about online presence and such a brand as Calvin Klein is more than relevant. Yes, today is about step 2, and we're focusing whatever it's out there when you search for a job, or you even for people that are looking to extend their network or connect with their fun clients. Your presence online on many levels is crucial. So that will be my few words of introduction. CK, the floor is yours now.
Perfect. Okay, so what we're going to have on our agenda is we're going to go through a couple of points, especially when we're covering building your presence. So what do we mean by that? And basically, how can you achieve that? And the first thing that we need to look at really is what is your purpose as a professional and just as a human being? So it's important that you have identified your passions, because this is essentially what's going to help you with creating authentic, God, my tongue is like in my mouth today, authentic presence online, especially so you can actually focus on areas that actually interest you, and this will be able to come across in the content that you post, the pictures and the events that you're attending and that you're speaking about as well. So Chris, I might just ask you just quickly, so is there anything that you would say, is key things to have, especially when you're trying to find that purpose, or that, when you say purpose, I don't just mean in regards to professional, I also mean in regards of the things that you're interested in, because this is an online presence. It's not so much so as in, I'm only focused on one area and this is all I want you to contact me for. It's more in regards of, this is who I am and these are the areas that I excel in, or the areas I'm interested in working in.
Absolutely. I will make it very short and focused, because we dive in deeply in the subject on our first step, which is available now on our YouTube channel and soon be also on LinkedIn. But having this defined, as Simon Sinek said in his great book, Start With Why, there is no point on doing anything, strategies or bringing an information, CVs, profiles, if you haven't defined clearly your outcome on what type of a job you're applying or what type of business you're pursuing. So I would say that will be a first focus on how to do that. There are many tools that we can start to really find your purpose or find the role you want to do. I do with my clients, we start with finding your values, because very often we know more or less what our values are. We spoke about this last time, but you need to clearly make point by point, write down all your values. That's an exercise that's useful on many levels. Why? First, based on what you make your life decisions, whether it's private life or professional life. Second, when you connect with employers or your clients, you know what value you're sharing, and you know what type of values you want to bring in, for example, to other companies, or how you connect with this culture fit to you. So that is so important, to make sure that within starting defining your purpose, you know your base. So you know what's important for you, then you can go into details, and then we can look at your what you are really enjoying to doing, and especially in professional settings. Because if we're good at something, we're much more likely to focus on that area. Now, Robert Greene nicely said that in a Mastery, his great book, and he's saying, in really succeed and flourish in professional world, you need to master certain area. In order to do that, Tony Robbins comes in, and he said, you need to focus. And focus is the driver. Focus is something that with time gives you this extra energy. And then having that areas of your expertise is actually the key to grow the fastest way, be promoted the fastest way, and get promotions the fastest way possible.
Perfect. Yeah, that's exactly it. I don't even have any 2 cents to add into that. I'm just going to say I'm going to co-sign on that. And it really, it's just really important as well that you identify these values at the very beginning, because it makes it very hard for you to build an authentic presence online. Not to mention, it makes it harder to attract the types of organizations that you actually want to work with or work for. And especially if there's nothing on your page or anything in regards to your online presence. And I don't just mean your LinkedIn, I'm even just talking about a quick Google search. There has to be information there that has an organization thinking their values are aligned to ours, or this is exactly the type of person that we want, or the type of individual that we actually want to bring on board, or who would be perfect for the team. Okay, so that's really the first thing. The next bit then is just all about building your presence. So now that you've identified, you know what your values are, you've identified the kind of professionalism that you want to go into, it's really kind of identify what kind of platforms should I be present on, really. Essentially, that's it. Now, I know that we all have LinkedIn and you know, we've got our CVs and things of that nature, but don't close yourself off to other social media outlets, because it's really important, because a lot of times your target audience may not be on the platform that you're actually using the most, you know. And even though we do speak about it, both Kristof and I are coaches in that sense, where we speak about rather not getting so involved and trying to be on everything. It's more about, where's your audience? That's where you need to focus on. Where's your audience sitting? How can I connect with my audience? Where can I, you know, what type of content should I be focusing on? So for instance, if a majority of your audience is sitting on Instagram, you know, your post on LinkedIn may not be able to reach the targets that you're looking for, you know, and that's where it's really, really important. I always say this in regards of, when you're talking about finding your passion and a professional perspective, knowing the sector that you want to go into, that will help you with identifying the platforms which are the right ones for you to actually build your presence on. And Chris, I see you nodding over there. Is there anything that you want to add on to that, just in relation to kind of knowing those platforms, but really more or less focusing and doing the research on those sectors, specifically the industries, and where they sit?
Absolutely. And you use the question that we underestimate when we look for a job. Where is my audience and who's my audience? Because one of the things we've noticed that discovering information about who you'll be talking to in interview settings might be crucial. I all the time bring the example of my clients who discovered the needs of the team, because you come to their solved problem and they wrote sometimes post what they need, and you can't repeat that on the interview or bring that in. That's already a big win and an extra contribution, I would say. And another aspect that people forget or they don't do, that your audience is not only the companies and the websites when you apply for job. Your audience is within your network also. Today I participated in a great series of webinars when Peter Johnson was explaining the key things about CV. And what they mentioned also, 70% jobs are got through business networking connections in Ireland. 70%, so recommendations. If you know anyone, we're not used to connect with everybody, ask them for advices and say, that's why you don't ask for a job. That's the key thing. In business networking, you need to make sure you connect the people the company you want to work with. You first start with people you know. And introduction, look at your personal life. If you are introduced by someone, it's this warm connection that's much easier to secure position because you come from a position of trust. And let's say in LinkedIn, you create that. You write the message, listen, you are in this position. I would like to be in the future. Would you give me advice or share a few tips how I can get there in the fastest way possible, if that's okay? 1 on 10 people usually reply, sometimes 3, and happens that they give you information. Then you create this mentor that will guide you and say, you know, within our organization, you do this. And if they're really open, they say, you know what, I connect you to our HR. And in this way, you actually can secure the position in the company you want, to work in an even team you want. And people underestimate that. We need to be more brave and open to use those type of messages. That's why lots of my clients never did that, only apply for traditional channels. So I created a business networking course. So explain what type of messages are not invasive because this language is the key there, that you don't ask, you're actually being polite, asking them for advice so they feel important because you recognize them as an expert, and getting there step by step. You'll be surprised how many new positions and how many new opportunities you can discover.
This is why you need to come to these, because there's golden nuggets. You never know where the drop of knowledge is going to come from, especially with Kristof. The next thing that you would always move on to then, and it's really kind of like the formal way of applying for jobs, is your CV, right? So, I mean, we can insert all of our personality and the colorful creativeness that we have on these platforms. It's a little bit more difficult to do that on a CV because there's one key aspect you really need to focus on, which is the keywords. Matching, it's ensuring that you have the required skill set as well. So, and look, I'm a career coach. I've been doing this for a while now. And it's so important that every time you apply for a job, you need to modify that CV because you need to show them what is it about you that you can bring onto the table. I always say that this space.
I just had some
apologies. Yeah, I had a little bit of
yeah.
apologies. We face some technical difficulties over on this side.
That's a classic excuse.
The classic excuse. If only we had, like, you know, the colored lines. It's like beep. It's just like we're coming back.
I'm going back to this CV and keywords you mentioned, and yes. I will share the expertise of Peter Johnson in that regard. He's an expert in CVs, and he said that ATS systems, the applicant tracking system, works like this. They like Control F on certain keywords. So if you look at your CV and let's say your job, and you compare it to the job spec you apply for, and the most repeated word is sales. So ATS system works like they finding those keywords, or so that is so important, as you said, to modify your CV in a way that the most represents ideal job you want to work for. And the key advice is to work on one application at a time when we're talking next setting, to make sure that you match those keywords to what they're looking for. So if ATS system reach certain percentage of keywords, then it's going to hiring manager. If it doesn't, or even for a junior recruiter, if those keywords do not match, it won't reach the desk of hiring manager. So in order to really be there, that's why working on your CV is so important, to make sure that you match those keywords as much as possible. Of course, you don't copy the whole phrases, you modify, but you keep those keywords concise and making sure that they match as much as possible to the job description.
Yeah, and also just to add as well about CVs, be aware about you know, cliche profiles that could be found online. The applicant tracking system can definitely pick these up so well. So it's really important that when you're sitting down and doing your CV, the rule of thumb is to complete your education history, your career history and everything like that, then go back to your profile, because you will then have a sense of what is it that I'm bringing that I want to say at the very top that really encompasses in those 3 paragraphs, 3 sentences, what it is that you're bringing to the table. What is it about you that's going to make me want to be like, you know what? I actually want to meet this person. That's what you need to focus on. And everybody's going to be, it has to be unique. It has to be individual. So stay away from a lot of the CV templates. I'm not saying condoning saying don't use them. Yes, use them, but make sure that you're tweaking them to the point where it's just you. It can only be applicable to you. It's not something that could be applicable to 100 other individuals who are in the exact same career type of progression. Okay. Sorry, I'm conscious of time as well because it's going to be 30 minutes. Next, we're going to be talking about LinkedIn. Sorry, that's what I'm thinking about. And look, when it comes to LinkedIn, it's following your CV is your blueprint. Okay, your CV is your blueprint. Make sure that your About Me section is going to be filled in. Once again, have it be unique. Do not use the cliche templates that you will find online. Make sure that you've included all of the roles that you've done. It doesn't matter where you were doing it. Skills are transferable. Okay, nobody walked out of college straight after getting their degree and walked into their career path and gained all the skill set to be a CEO. You have different experiences that will obviously be able to help you, and those are transferable as well. And please, and I always say this, use the skills section. you have 50 skills. Am I right, Chris? It's up to 50
50,
skills you can
yeah.
add in. Yeah. So there's 50 key skills that you can put in, and it's always broken down into industry, and then it's done to technical as well. And then it does to do with like interpersonal skills. Those were the three categories I remember, if I'm correct. But like Chris, is there anything else that you would add on to there? Because I'm just I'm conscious that we don't have a lot of time. But also the other thing I'm conscious of is it's just in regards of building that presence. If your CV is the
Hi
blueprint. Hey,
guys,
Chris, can
I'm
you hear
back.
us?
Yes, I'm back.
Welcome
Um,
back.
It's like
he
Chris
just
Houdini
disappeared.
is what we're going to call you today.
Eh,
Sorry, Chris. I was just going to ask for your golden nuggets just in regards of building, a really good LinkedIn profile to attract those employers and your target audience.
yes, so I actually lost you exactly in this moment. I made notes about key things that you said that might be vital. As you said about people don't know what to put on the CV, or they're in the positions that they think like, I don't know, cleaning. Some of my clients are in cleaning positions or
Yeah.
work in restaurants. Now, there is a way to do that. It's called using your silver bullets. And what does it mean? You put a list of everything you do, but you only choose the skills that are relevant to this role. And let's say there's a teamwork. You work in a team here, and you use the phrases that relates to this job description. So the same CV that can look totally different, depends what type of language you use. And that's very important. And you of course match that with the keywords. And if we talk about LinkedIn, absolutely, there is much more flexibility in LinkedIn, because in CV you mostly focus on keywords. In LinkedIn, of course, you include your keywords, but you can make a beautiful banner. So the first impression matters, whether it's interview. Think about your life. The first impression of person stays for quite a long time, and it has to really happen something significant to change that opinion. So the same when they look at your LinkedIn, and going from the top, a banner that relates to your interest or the job you're looking for. Description under your, of course, nice formal photo, not too casual, could be smart casual. Then under you have a description that relates to also in keywords, but describe what you do. Some people are fan of making very unique sentences. That's also is acceptable. Then don't forget to write your about, because that also includes certain type of keywords. In LinkedIn now you have option for recruiters that you look for a job, and you can market just for recruiters to see, for example.
Yeah.
And that is another great feature of LinkedIn. Make sure you're active in the area that you're interested in, because they want to see that you just don't apply for a job, but they want to see that you like those things. So let's say you reshare a post, and this post, if you click on the three dots above the post, you can feature on top of your profile. Make sure the three major ones that you really like and also relates to your profession are there nicely featured. It really gives a nice feel to the profile. Then you go to job descriptions. The key job descriptions, I would say, do in a sentence way, like a short story, 3 to 5 sentences. Bullet points, it's still acceptable and still bring you the keywords. I use bullet points in the roles, for example, that are not so vital. And also your key education, you can write in sentences or highlight bullet points. LinkedIn now, LinkedIn Learning, you can add your certifications.
Yeah.
Show that you care. There are sometimes promotional LinkedIn, you can do a free courses, and make sure it's your area of interest, and from time to time you add there something. They don't take much time now. You can listen on your phone when you travel. It's a great app for LinkedIn Learning, and that's very valuable to do. And then you said something amazing, it's your skills up to 50, because based on that, LinkedIn is matching your skills with the skills required for this job. So that's absolutely must. And that, I would say, is the key things that need to focus in relation to LinkedIn.
Absolutely, absolutely. And what would be your stance then when it comes to other social medias? If we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, I don't know if you jumped on the TikTok craze yet. I don't see Chris being doing the dances, but I could see him definitely putting some transitions together. But yeah, any other types of social media platforms that are out there that allow you to build your presence that essentially will come up if your Google search is done about you? What would you recommend there?
Okay, if we talk about TikTok, CK, if you underestimated, I have some moves there. But yes, what I did, I have an account, but it's not my audience really. I usually focus on millennials, and if I work with students, I work directly with university, like Utah State University. So TikTok is really not my main media, but the key thing is to make sure when you put the content, it can be your professional passions like travel or whatever you like, the woodwork. But the key thing is make sure there's nothing that really says bad things about you or compromise you in any way, or something that matter, keep it private. And unless you really are a person of influence and you focus on pranks, and but that's probably where you get your income. But
Yeah.
having that and applying for something, a role that requires more formal approach might have an impact. So what
Yeah.
happened is very often when they put your name into Google, make sure check what comes up, because might not appear there, but if it comes up something that you would feel uncomfortable, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, or as you said, TikTok, it can be private. Of course, you share some great moments of your life, but it has to be with taste and balance. There's not much to it, just a taste and balance. That if you're a graphic designer, you probably have more artistic or artist works, and that's where you can get away even with artistic nudity. But if you are, let's say, applying for a director role in finance and having a nude photos on your profile, might be something that company wouldn't have like to have in their reputation or in their values, and then an article appears, director of finance, and the nude photos. So
It's like that
something to
bracket.
take for consideration.
Exactly, absolutely. And then the other thing as well, this is going to be the last bit then, is just positioning yourself as an expert or as a professional sometimes does require you to have a couple of things that you would do on the side. So for instance, earlier on I spoke about that I do podcasts. You know, I do a lot of hosting and emceeing and things of that nature, but podcasts, I have direct links to my podcast. So if I'm ever being considered as a host, I have my work on a different type of platform, which is usually on Spotify. And we can go on from there. Chris
Awesome.
has YouTube videos. Chris, you've got your YouTube videos for some of the things that you have done. Some are private, some are public. However, there he has a YouTube channel specifically for the content that's being shared. So if you're ever thinking in the sense of, right, so if we're thinking about Chris as an L&D manager, career strategist, as a coach, you know, where can we find the proof of some of his seminars? Where can we find how he's been able to interact and influence? YouTube. Okay, and that's essentially going to be it. But it also depends on what is your, how do you express yourself? Because some people speak, some people act, some people write. So blogs and articles as well would be a really great way of just being able to capture your passion and be able to share it from there. So Chris, is there anything that you would add on to that? Any in regards to extra contributions to really cementing your presence and really kind of charging forward with that authentic content, but more so that you are showcasing your passion, your values? I swear it's the heat. The heat is affecting the internet in Ireland.
I
Ireland
think
doesn't know how to
so.
deal with heat. This is the reason why. That's the problem. It's too hot in Ireland. So the internet, the cables and everything is like going haywire. Sorry, Chris, did you hear what where I last
Yes.
left off?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. So if we talk that, and it's amazing, you working in Dublin Business School with so many students, and well, actually we met for doing a podcast together, which was actually amazing. People forget that all those external activities, it's a validation of your trustworthiness. So if you're really about something, let's see if you really are. So if you look at the other media, is there any other activity? Well, it's not really required, but if it's there, it's extra proof that you really focus on something you really like. That's why I do the interviews with experts on my YouTube channel. So, but in reality, they're not source of people that I work with. The best source, you probably CK knows, is the people you work with and recommendations. There's nothing better than this. But those media are actually confirming, yes, I am interested in that. And that doesn't have to be big. You can do it once a week, once a month. When we in Kotef, in the company I cooperate with, we worked on this method, get to expert level the fastest way possible. And the key was there a persistent and in a baby steps way of doing a small blocks of research. Whether you use that, if we thought about third world countries, you can use that even using YouTube or using people that can have access to great platforms like Udemy or LinkedIn Learning. And the key thing is to every day on half an hour or once a week or 3 times a week. So we measure to be really effective. It has to be 2 to 3 times a week. And happens that you can build your expertise within a year to 2 and on a very high level by focusing on the small blocks of time, doing notes, and then resharing that further to other people. So what happens is you work in a team, you got 1 or 2 tips a day, you come to a team and you say, guys, I heard about this and this. After a month or 2, people are coming to you for advice because this guy is coming with the knowledge, this guy is coming to share. And you share that in a natural way. And what happened is you build in the same time your natural leadership. There's so many benefits to it. And I would say it's worth to focus on one and getting that information and then sharing that information, whether you said would be within a podcast, would it be a vlogcast or blog.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that wraps up our second step on regards of building your presence. Chris and I are obviously available, so do send us any questions or any queries that you have, and make sure to join us as well next week when we're going to be taking the next step onto step 3, which is all about focus. And it's really more regards of it's one job at a time. It's all about quantity. Sorry, it's all about quality, not
Exactly.
quantity. Oh my God, it has been a very long day, guys, and this technical difficulties the same malfunction. All right, so do make sure to check out and register for the next event. We would be absolutely delighted to have you on. Yeah.
CK, if I may add one thing, guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can I ask a quick question before we go?
Yeah, sure.
Just to Kristof. So I'm just like creating my CV between 1.5 and 2 pages. I have 2 educations and 3 years of experience, and some college leadership section, an achievement section, some certification section, and some references. The section of skills I have removed because of the length of the CV. How important is it to keep the skill section just highlighting skills, just like LinkedIn, or should I use the skills in the job description?
That is a good question, because you should have your CV within 2 pages, and the key thing is, because I interviewed lots of people from agency owners of recruitment agencies. So the key thing was, of course, we talk about this name, personal profile, and he actually suggests, because recruiter has usually 7 seconds spent on your CV under the personal profile, put a few skills there. Will you make it to put the skills there and still have 2 pages with your CV?
Yeah, I can fit it. I have to remove 1 or 2 lines maybe from here and there, and I can fit it. But it's just that I don't want to make it look very wordy, like too lengthy to read and stuff.
Yeah. So the key thing is because CV is also visual. So if they see a bulk of text, they don't want to read it. Yeah. And more than spaces are very important. So sometimes I know it's hard for us because we want to put more content, but we need to make sure that we have the key content and there's enough space to see this, okay, sections, separate sections. And I know it's a hard choice. Sometimes I mess around with margins length, and that helps a little if you change your margins. But yeah, keep your skills there.
Yeah, okay. I definitely would have said the same thing as well. Just to keep them on there, because it's applicant tracking systems. They're looking for those words as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thanks.
No problem. All righty. Well, that concludes today's session. We look forward to having you. We're going to change. So next week is going to be 4:30 instead of 4. But all the information is there on LinkedIn. So make sure to register and make sure to attend. And for those of you that are watching afterwards, I hope that you enjoyed today's session, and I look forward to you watching again next week.
And also feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn.
I will definitely connect with you and discuss.
Fantastic. CK, thank you very much. It was an absolute pleasure. Yeah.
You too, Kristof.
Have fun
a great evening. Yeah, just make sure that we don't melt in the sun with everything else, including our technical issues.
Okay, guys, have a great afternoon.
Thank you, guys.
See you guys.
Bye.
Bye.